So in this video, I want to lay out my process of responding to reviewer comments, because I do see this quite often, that there's, with beginning researchers, beginning academics, there is kind of, a lots of uncertainty around this process of peer review. So I just want to go through this to kind of open this black box. And as you can see here, this is a review from a Frontiers journal. There we have one reviewer who left some comments, and I want to respond to those. So what I do first is I go to my folder where I'm organizing all my research work. So this is also, I think, a big part of it. So I have a publications folder with different stages of where my papers are, and in review I currently have a few of them, and this is what I now want to work on. So I already had a first revision, so I'm now creating a new folder for the second revision, and then I'm just copying the latest version of that, and maybe also the revisions document. I will show you in a moment what that is. So let's copy this here. Also, let's assign a new version number, which is usually the date for me. So let's open that. That's the first thing to do. So this is the first the paper that we're currently working on. I'm just checking whether it's actually the latest version, and it is. I can confirm that. So let's now open also the revisions document, which is really where I want to save everything that I'm doing in the review. And what I'm doing in the first is I just copy all the comments from reviewer 3 here and paste it here. So this is important so that everything is really neatly organized. And so some praise is always a good thing. Now let's work on this. So what I'm doing here is I'm having this kind of styles that I'm using, which are an indication for me of how well I'm doing, on how well I'm on track in responding to those issues. That's what I usually do. So red basically means this is not dealt with, and this is maybe critical. So I'm just doing this without any thought. This is the basic structure that I start working from. And now comes actually the first time that I actually take a look into the manuscript. So where's my manuscript? Here's my manuscript. I will just make sure that track changes is on, or actually what I do first is I accept all, because this is the version actually that has been accepted, right? Conditionally, it's just minor revisions here. So let's just read what they're saying. Did you compare the outcomes of contract grading to other grading methods? No, we didn't. That's my first answer here. This was not really the purpose of the article. So this is something that I now need to communicate, because you could just say no. That's always the lazy answer. My take is that you don't just want to make rebuttals, but you want to take also the feedback value from this. And here the feedback is, no, there has been some kind of misunderstanding. This wasn't actually the goal, right? So let me clarify this goal. This is the overall goal that we're stating here. We reflect about the adoption of individualized grading schemes in the context of modern teaching concepts, especially service learning. And maybe here I could add something to counteract this thought, right? And this is probably not the best solution yet, but I will pass this around for feedback anyway. So I just came up with a clarifying sentence saying specifically, we take an exploratory look into the fit of such a grading scheme to the affordances of teaching service learning courses. And then also in parentheses, without contrasting it to other approaches to grading. So this is the core sentence basically, which is a style here that I call a quote from the text, so that the reviewer knows that I've actually done something in the text. And now I just frame this change with a kind of rebuttal. And a second instance where this could be relevant is actually in the discussion. So I'll see whether I could offer something in the discussion in terms of further research. But these are quite specific comments where it doesn't fit in very well, I think. But as you see, I'm also cleaning up the document. Some smaller changes. So it doesn't really fit in there because this is not really a standard discussion section. Maybe you can make it fit in the conclusions. Yeah, so here it would add nicely maybe, so all the direct contrast could be made with other grading methods as just a direction for further research. So adding this here. So here, this is a quote again, and this is something that is not critical anymore, but this has been resolved actually. So this is kind of my final answer, how this looks like. Okay. Now I'm going to the second one. What are the specific and measurable achievements of contract grading? So I think this, I don't want to, introduce some completely novel concept here. I really want to stick to what we have written in the paper. And we actually have some very small data collection that actually, I think, tackles this question. So just reading through the paper again, because this is something, once you submit and there's some time lag, you often forget what actually was written in the paper. So this is the major statement that we're making. So I'm again just posting a few original statements in here so that the reviewer knows right away, okay, I'm not just making this up, but here's a clear reference. This is where I'm saying this. This is really just an example, so let's make this clear. Okay, third point, what is the instructor's input and role in the final grade? Okay. So this is more a conceptual question. So this has nothing to do with the results. This has to do with what is the role of the instructor in contract grading. So this chapter here is the specific application of contract grading within the teaching concept of the teaching clinic, which is just an example. So I think this is even higher level, the question. So contract grading and service learning. So this is contract grading. So it should be somewhere there. It could fit in there, but I think actually I have a personal take to that is slightly different, and I would add it here in the specific application. So this is about the general concept of the teaching clinic, then how this has been integrated. Assessing grade points. So this is very close. Yeah, binary grading scale. And this is the innovation that I was talking about. Yeah, so this is where I want to add something, some note about the instructor's input. So I've written, in that sense, the instructor plays an important role for grading as a person who makes the initial offer of what can actually be graded, right? And then I'm referencing also to the grading menu, which comes right afterwards. For the actual assessment, the instructor plays a less significant role than with other grading schemes, as they're only making binary decisions between accepting parts of the contract, and thus awarding the designated course points, or declining that part of the contract. I think this is pretty solid. So I'm just copying this and I write, this is a quote again. And then again, I'm surrounding this with some context. Thank you for this comment. That's always a great start. So I'm just writing that we agree with this statement, that this was missing, and that we have taken this into consideration and actually changed something in the manuscript. So what other courses or disciplines can contract grading be applied to? So this is very general, has to do with contract grading. So I would just add it here somewhere, or maybe when introducing the example, we could mention, okay, actually, you know, this is very generally applicable. So this is actually a very nice segue. So I'm writing that also that's contract grading is likely applicable across disciplines and teaching concepts. But for this purpose of this article, we zero in on the application within service learning courses, and this builds a nice bridge to the chapter 2.3. So that's actually a very good addition. So I'm again changing here the formatting. Okay, last comment. You see, all of those comments are pretty minor, so there's a minor revision, so it makes sense. These are on a very, very high level. Don't require me to go back to literature, don't require me to collect more data, something like that. How can the workload be standardized so students don't go overboard and not defeat the purpose of this contract grading compared to other grading methods? So this is a direct reference to something that I write at the very end. What I'm noticing, by the way, is again, when I'm reading this, I'm also trying to look at other things, and what you see here is that I have like a headline spelling for most headlines, but not for all. So let me actually rectify this right away, because a lot of time has passed, and that allows you to take a very fresh look again on your manuscript, and that's always a good thing. So easy to not see even obvious errors if you're too close to the actual text. So now at least I've fixed that. Now creating a workload, I can check whether I can add this somewhere. So I think we are treating that. We're highlighting this. I would just add it like this, that there's something that we should actually be doing. This is it. I'm actually pretty happy about it. As I said, these were just minor revisions, so I don't want to do much actually more than that. So that's all good. So I'm also saving this now as a PDF in the same folder, because this is what is usually asked for. So I now say add comment, and I go to the manuscript again. Oh, sorry, to the revisions actually. I just copy all the revisions now and paste it into this document. Are the comments? So I just take this. So maybe let's also make the revisions document actually a PDF, and I can add this as attachment, because if you just take the text, it's actually quite difficult to read. So let's add a PDF here. So that looks good. Now I need to also upload a new version of the manuscript. Resubmit the manuscript. So now comes the platform for resubmitting the manuscript. And normally there shouldn't be a lot of things to consider. So I'm just removing all of this, and I'm dragging manuscript source file. These are those. Then I here have a supplementary file here of those revisions. There are no tables, no figures. The manuscript is there. Everything is there. And now I just need to go through this. For that purpose, it's always a good idea to also have the manuscript open still. Copy and pasting all the new version here, all the new stuff here. Didn't change anything in the abstract, so that should be fine. Looking good. And submit. Now there should be the pop-up coming, and everything is fine. So if there would have been major revisions, I would definitely send this back to all my co-authors. But since this is really minor, and we had a meeting about this, I just go ahead and submit. So that's it. That's how the whole submission and resubmission process works. I went through every step. I didn't make any cut here in between with the recording. So this is everything there is to it. You see, it's very, very easy actually, very smooth process. And once you have done this a couple of times, you will see that the process is pretty similar also with other journals and other publishers, right? So I hope you have learned something about how to deal with the review process, how I go about tackling those issues, what my workflow is. I'm of course always eager to learn, so if you have any additions, please post in the comments.